mute your microphone when you're speaking. Thank you, Kai. You've noticed the recording has begun. If you have any internet issues, try turning off your video camera or join by phone. Those are two options. And if you're having trouble hearing, expand the audio icon to open the audio settings. And here you can select a different speaker from the menu or adjust the volume. We encourage you to freely use Zoom's engagement tools. You can use the chat. It is open for all. You can use reactions at any time throughout the session. And when our presenter opens the floor for questions, feel free to raise your hand by clicking on the reactions and selecting raise hand. Additionally, please know that certificates will be provided for attending today's session. So be sure to stay until the end of today's lecture and to complete the evaluation that we will send at the end to receive your certificate. Now I'm pleased to present Maggie, who will be introducing our topic and our guest speaker today. I'll turn it over to you, Maggie. And you can turn on your mic there. Thanks.
Thank you. Our speaker today is Kara LaPlante, who is a 2024 graduate of Plymouth State University with a Bachelor of Science in Wellness Education. This interdisciplinary degree is a combination of adventure education and her massage therapy background with the goal of curating experiences in the community to increase accessibility to practical wellness tools and promote healthy social connection. Kara is now the Wellness Initiatives Coordinator for Archways RCO, working on programs including collegiate recovery. Collegiate recovery has become a passion for Kara as a recent college graduate in recovery herself. These programs are an imperative avenue to promote genuine social connection on campus and support students in their journey to reach their full potential. She has been training nationally on a variety of topics that enhance the skills of peer support specialists. Kara enjoys spending her free time playing outside with her fiance and her dog, Shelly. We're excited to have Kara lead today's hands-on session, which will culminate with you drafting your own personal mission statement. Now, I will turn it over to Kara.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Brooke and Maggie, for the introductions, and thank you all for spending your morning here with us. When Michelle asked about training on this topic, I was super excited because I think this type of activity is something we all know we should have, but sometimes it's hard to take the time to actually follow through and implement this type of practice. So today we'll talk about why it's important to do, we'll talk about how to do it, and then we'll be giving you some time to interact with the material and each other in small and big groups to begin to work on your own mission statement. And if you already have one, that's awesome. And this workshop will just give you more tools to jump right in and do this work with your participants. My president and CEO of Archways, Michelle, is here with us and ready to add any further insights and jump in as needed. Michelle will also be monitoring the chat today to answer any questions that come up for folks. So also in the chat, please feel free to introduce yourselves, where you're located, what you do. And yeah, so with that, let's jump right in. So our objectives today, our main goal is to learn how to build a personal mission statement. And this is an essential tool for aligning our actions with our core values and purpose, which we'll dive into a little later. We'll start by exploring the benefits of having a personal mission statement. It's not just about clarity, but ensuring that our daily actions resonate with our true selves. And we'll also identify tools that can help support you in this journey. So this includes going through the process of discovering our personal core values, addressing any limiting beliefs that may hinder your progress, and then recognizing that these beliefs are key before you begin writing your personal mission statement. And then we'll focus on the tangible outcomes, right? Your results, purpose, and impacts. And this understanding will guide you as you craft and integrate this statement into your daily life. So by the end of the session, you'll have the skills to write and engage with your personal mission statement, which will bring clarity and purpose to both your professional and personal endeavors. So, what is a personal mission statement, right? That's why we're here today. So a personal mission statement is a belief declaration that includes your core values, your beliefs, your aspirations, and it kind of acts as your personal compass to guide you through all the decisions life throws at us, which helps us stay true to what really matters to us individually. So it's kind of like your roadmap. It keeps you focused on your goals, allowing you to make choices that align with your purpose and your professional and personal life. And again, providing clarity to make sure that the decisions you're making are helping you step forward to fulfilling that life mission. So by having a clear mission statement, you empower yourself to live a life that's aligned with your deepest values and aspirations. So why do we have one, right? Um, First and foremost, again, we talk about the clarity. It provides a clear direction for your life by defining your core values and your goals. And this clarity is really important because it helps us make those informed decisions and stay focused on what really matters to us. So again, we can think of it as a guide, right? A personal guide that aligns our choices with our authentic self and ensuring that the goals that we're pursuing are not only fulfilling, but they also resonate with who we are as a person. So as we move forward, remember that this statement is not just about setting goals. It's about understanding our individual selves a little better and our purpose and living a life that's meaningful to us. So we're going to explore the power of a personal mission statement. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how it can guide our decision making. So the idea that this is a compass for us, helping us evaluate opportunities and make choices that really align with our goals and values. So a mission statement provides focus. It helps you say yes to the right things, and sometimes more importantly, say no to the distractions that don't serve our long-term vision. And this clarity is crucial in sticking to pursuits that are going to equate to lasting success, that long-term vision. Um, it offers clarity and authenticity. So by understanding what success looks like for us individually, independent of what others are expecting of us, we can engage in a journey of true self-discovery that is going to lead to a more authentic and fulfilled life. So, in essence, a personal mission statement doesn't just chart a course, it defines what truly matters and keeps us grounded amongst all the craziness that life tends to throw at us. Um, some more why this is important, right? Building resilience. So, a personal mission statement can act as a stable anchor during challenging times. That can look like self-doubt, change, instability that may be testing us. So this anchor of a personal mission statement helps us stay grounded, reminding us of what truly matters. And then it also enhances our accountability. So sometimes we may need that extra push to follow through when our external motivation is waning. So remember the phrase, if it is to be, it is up to me. So whether we need support or not, sometimes we just got to do the thing in front of us and do the work. So having this statement encourages us to make choices that are aligned with our long-term goals rather than getting caught up in the short-term distractions, right? So consider your mission statement as a personal commitment to the future that we want. It's your guide to not only endure, but thrive through life's ups and downs. Another benefit of a personal mission statement is how it can improve our communication um, by clarifying values and purpose and enhancing our efficiency. So, by clearly stating our goals and our values, you open the door for other people in your life, your family, your coworkers, your mentors, to better understand your direction in life. And this shared understanding fosters more effective in communication and collaboration because you can really see the person in front of us and vice versa. And by clarifying our core values and purpose, it's not just about introspection, right? It's not just about learning about us, but it's about what is our powerful motivator? What is our internal motivation? And when we can articulate what truly matters to us, it creates that strong intrinsic drive to pursue the goals that we're looking for. And this framework aids in quick decision making. So by aligning our actions with our stated values, we can prioritize how we're spending our time and our resources efficiently. So it's like having a built-in guide that helps us focus on what really matters. And again, going back to avoiding those distractions we so commonly come across. So by embracing this clarity, it's a tool that not only guides you, but enhances communication and efficiency as well. Okay, so we're going to get into a small group activity in just a few minutes, and we're going to take some time to delve into the importance of evaluating our personal core values. So our values are shaped by our life experiences, what we've encountered, what we've gone through, but many of us get caught up in the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and it may not have the opportunity to really pause and truly reflect on what those experiences mean to us. How are we holding on to them? So, our core values can change as we progress through different stages of our life and our career. And this evolution means it's essential to make a conscious effort to stay aligned with them. So, coming into recovery and after a period of stabilization, it can be an excellent opportunity to reevaluate and reconnect what truly matters to us. So, this exercise we're about to do is not just about identifying where we stand today, but also about opening up the potential of where we can go. So, as we engage in the small group exercise, let's be open to discoveries and any insights that may arise. So, the activity we're going to do is we're going to this exercise called Take the Test. And so this is about evaluating our core values. So remember your understanding your core values is crucial because that's what's going to guide our decisions and actions in our life. So think of this test as a reflective tool. It's not an exam, but it's just an opportunity to pause and consider what really matters to us. So as you work with your small group, focus on being open and honest with yourself. This exercise is about personal growth and insight, so there are no right or wrong answers here. And take this time to truly reflect on your experiences and how they shape your values. So individually, we'll take a couple minutes to do the test, and that includes the time if you pick more than your top 10, but don't overthink it too much, right? When you finish, share within your small group what the exercise brought up for you, and then we'll come back to the large group and ask for a few share outs for everybody. Let's make this a meaningful exploration together. And the next slide that will be shared into the breakout rooms will remind you of the directions and will bring you back in 15 minutes. So to take the test, you can use a phone to scan the QR code to do the test. Before we go out into breakout rooms, does anyone have any questions or concerns before we go out? Awesome. Great. Brooke is going to send everybody into small groups, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kara. Okay, I've put the link to the instructions also in the chat. See you all in the breakout rooms. Ready?
So, welcome back, everybody. Is there a volunteer from each or from any group that would like to share anything that was coming up for them for the group? Kirk, see your hand.
Yeah, sure. I'd love to volunteer. I thought it was an excellent exercise. all of us totally did more than 10 because there was so many good values. So it took us a little bit longer to scroll through. And we really talked about, taking a look at five core, those five core values, and then like really looking into how different values can interact with each other. And we had a good conversation about like someone had health and family, and then like if my health is decreasing, that might impact my family, and how do you work with those values. So I thought that was super fascinating. And what I really like about this was it showed the benefits of those values, but also some of the negatives of those values. Because intelligence was one of my traits that I valued significantly, but also family. So maybe if I'm having some family matters to deal with, maybe intelligence is going out the door because it's my family. I'm going to do whatever I can for my family. So I thought that was fascinating. But yeah.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Kirk. I love how you brought up how our different core values often do influence each other, right? And I think that's really what makes them part of the core. So thanks for bringing that up. Allison.
I concur with Kara Kirk. That is exactly how I had to do some of these. I had to use which one is the basis for my ability to do the other one when they came up against each other. Man, there's not enough coffee in the day to do this when it comes down to. So mine were spirituality, with wisdom, authenticity, inner harmony, and family. So, and they really do, like, my spirituality came out on top because it truly is the basis for everything else that I do. So, yeah, it was very insightful for me to be like, huh, that's awesome. Okay, good. So thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Allison. And I love, like it sounds like there was almost like some validating experience there. Like, yeah, like that really does reflect how I feel and how I live my life. So not only can it be like an eye-opening experience, but it could also be really validating of like, oh, like this is my core. This is what really drives me. So thank you everybody for that. Um, so we just did this exercise for ourselves, right? Exploring our own core values, how we view ourselves and what drives us. So now, like, after doing this for ourselves, right? How can we translate this to working with participants? So by doing this for ourselves, we can see how taking the time to sit down with a participant during a coaching session can really assist in evaluating where their sense of meaning originates, what they truly value, and how it connects to their recovery planning and their recovery goals. So this process helps us establishing objectives for life beyond the stabilization point, right? So just something to think about, like how this translates into our work supporting other individuals in their process of finding a life that's fulfilling and thriving for them. And if tech isn't comfortable for some participants, right, if the tech component of the values test is a barrier, we can easily find a list of values together from this website and create handouts to accomplish the same kind of outcome. So you would have a list, a brief description of each value, so there's more clarity, and then more of like a circling your top 5 to that effect. It is worth noting, though, as we're doing this, that for participants, right, their values may have been competing for some time or may have created some internal conflict. During times of chaotic use, people may be behaving in ways that don't necessarily align with their core values. And so this might be a time that's coming up for them, right? So that's another opportunity for us as recovery coaches to try to, talk through that. So all that being said is that just something to keep in mind, deciding when it is the best time to start this work for a participant, right? Because we may introduce it, may not be ready to dig into this stuff yet, and that's totally fine, right? But being available to provide these opportunities for our participants is a really beautiful role that we can be playing as a coach for our participants. Awesome. So we're going to go back into breakout rooms for another couple of minutes to take some time to reflect a little deeper. So I'm asking that each of you share one or two or more if time allows of your top 5 values. And as you do, as you're sharing your top 5 values, consider how each one connects to what's most important in your life. So think of these values as the threads that weave through your different roles and identities, whether it's as a peer support worker, an employee, a volunteer, a parent, a spouse, or other roles that you embrace and identify with. So ask yourself, how do these values integrate into each part of your identity? And this reflection isn't just about listing values, but it's about understanding how they're shaping our actions and decisions across those various aspects of our lives. So in your breakout rooms, talk about this, right? Consider how these values are guiding you in your roles and responsibilities that you may have, your job, your home, other environments you may find yourself in, and then give everyone a turn in your group, and we'll have about 10 minutes to share out with everybody. Does anyone have any questions or concerns for Brooke sends us out into groups?
Thanks everyone for your patience in the last one while everyone is getting situated. We'll all go back to the same rooms, hopefully. So I'll send you all out.
Welcome back, everybody, from your small groups. I will ask just for a couple share outs from anything that was coming up. Actually, Brooke, can you go back to that last slide, please? Maybe share one or two of your top values and how they influence your identity. And I see Tawny Rich.
So, hold on one second. You need to do what you need to. Is that better? There we go. Okay.
Yep.
This part was, it didn't surprise me because I've known me my whole life. But my top two were trust and courage, and it just really solidified what Kara said. And I will keep in mind when I do use this with participants, your values, at least the way mine came out in this thing, really are shaped by your life experiences and your journey through life. Because trust and courage, I think just from the beginning of my life, like I didn't have someone, I needed someone to trust and I couldn't find that person. So I needed to find my courage to be able to find what I needed in other places or in other directions. So that was a pretty heavy moment for me to have these two be my top 10. But then when I think about it, I can understand it. And it's going to be a good reminder using it with participants, but about how they get activated about things that just aren't happening presently, but just hearing something about an experience they had. So yeah, my values were definitely shaped by the experiences in my life.
Tanya, thank you so much for sharing that. That's like a really deep, insightful reflection that you just shared, connecting it to all of the life you've lived so far and how that's shaping where you're going now. Thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anybody else that wanted to jump in before we move on? Thank you so much. I think that was such a great example of really what we're trying to convey to everybody. Beautiful. So as we move forward, let's reflect a little bit too on how this exercise can impact recovery planning specifically, right? So we all just made connections between our identities and our values. So think about the impact on recovery planning as well as personal mission when we're making these connections. So for the example on the screen right now, these two top values, health, well-being, fitness, not being sick, and family caring for loved ones. So consider how aspects like health and well-being that show up as um, one of the top five in a participant's discovery process might align with their personal roles, such as wanting to be a good parent, such as being a good parent. And so this connection can be really profound for many, because the desire to not be a burden on their children and to actively support their family is deeply motivating. And to do that, they need good health, right? And that's kind of like what Kirk was talking about earlier, too. So if we think about the core value of family, also showed up in the five, right? The threads of health and well-being, um, tie into that value of family, which I think is actually the example that Kirk was using earlier. So when participants connect their recovery plans and goals to these meaningful values that they have identified for themselves, that's what helps maintain that intrinsic motivation, right? And this alignment keeps their focus on what generally matters to them, getting closer to the personal mission. So just take a moment to silently consider, how do these connections resonate with our own experiences, and how they would for the people that you support. So the next thing we're going to dive into here is the idea of core beliefs. So we want to explore core beliefs before we dive into writing our personal mission statement. And core beliefs can either limit us or empower us. So, core beliefs are essentially feelings of certainty that a particular thought is true, and they play a critical role in shaping our sense of identity. So, if we think about how these beliefs influence our daily life and decisions, are they empowering us to reach our full potential, or are they holding us back? So let's consider this for ourselves. And doing this, just, yeah. So when we're doing this work, right, we're encouraging our participants to consider how their core beliefs align with their identity and values that they have time to reflect on. And this reflection can also offer powerful insights into that personal growth and development that they're looking to achieve. So, as we start to talk about core beliefs, right, what gets in the way? So, limiting beliefs are the beliefs that tell us that we can't achieve our goals or be who we want to be. And sometimes these are very obvious beliefs, like the thoughts that come up, I can't ever do that, or I'm not worthy of that. But sometimes they're a little less obvious than that, such as an example, I'm a night owl or I'm not a morning person. That kind of narrative can also limit possibilities in life. So when we're crafting a personal mission statement, we focus on our core values and life aspirations. But these limiting beliefs can act as these invisible barriers keeping us from moving forward. So the phrase, I can't get out of my own way, right? How often have we felt stuck or unable to progress because of our own self-imposed limitations? Identifying and challenging these limiting beliefs is crucial to reaching our full potential, unlocking our full potential. And remember, it's about reshaping our mindset to align with our true values and goals. So we're going to dive into insights from the book Mindset by Carol Dweck, who's a PhD. And this book identifies four commonly held beliefs that can significantly limit our potential. And as we talked about, act as invisible barriers and holding us back from achieving our true capabilities. So as we explore these four beliefs, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences and consider if any of these limiting beliefs have influenced your path in any way. And remember, the goal here is not to judge ourselves or our participants, right? But to recognize areas where we can foster growth, curiosity, and change. So the first one we're going to dive into is how we perceive failures and setbacks. And this is one area of limiting belief that's pretty common for folks. So, first, we consider whether we view setbacks as fatal or challenges to learn from. And this is a very crucial distinction, right? It's only fatal if we fail to learn from it. This is an opportunity for growth. So we can ask ourselves meaningful questions like, what is this teaching me? Or how am I going to grow through this challenge, this setback? And the power lies in how we respond to those experiences and situations. So each failure or challenge is a stepping stone for learning, shaping us into more resilient people. So let's embrace the growth mindset and turn setbacks into opportunities. And we can use our motivational interviewing skills gained from the last community of practice in supporting our participants to ask themselves those questions as well, right? Recognizing what kind of language they're using about themselves and we can help bring awareness to that. The second limiting belief is how people respond to feedback. So, have you ever received feedback from a supervisor or a coach or a colleague and felt like judged or criticized? That can be a really common reaction for people. But what if we shifted our perspective of that feedback? And instead of viewing it as criticism, we can see it as an opportunity for growth. And this mindset transforms our approach to learning and development and tame a reactive emotional response. So we're removing the emotion from it. So we can ask ourselves, is this feedback a tool to help me grow? And by embracing feedback constructively, we open the door again for that personal and professional growth. So consider how this change in perspective might impact your interactions with participants, their responses to other systems, and their own development. Constructive feedback also can be tied to our core values. We can ask and give permission to hear feedback, state facts. We can tie feedback to those core values that have been identified, and we can remove emotion from it and be future focused. So, how we respond to feedback and show others a better way when they feel only condemnation, we can use those MI skills, and this can be super helpful in encouraging that growth mindset instead of the limiting mindset. And a third area people often have limiting beliefs is how we respond to seeing the success of other people. So when someone else achieves success, how do we feel? Do we feel competitive or envious, or do we view it positively, like a source of inspiration? I could look up to that. So recognizing other success as evidence of what is possible can be a powerful shift in this mindset. So we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from them? What are they doing differently that I might consider adopting? Consider also the beliefs that may that may differ from our own, right? Like the person who achieved the success, what kind of beliefs are they holding that I might not have yet? Understanding these perspectives open those new pathways for our growth. And then remember, the achievements of others can also serve as a roadmap in showing us what is achievable and what is aspiring to help us reach those new heights. And really, all coaching services are based on this, right? As peers, we are or can be the example of what is possible. And the fourth area that Carolyn Dweck talks about is people getting stuck in limiting beliefs around how specific beliefs shape our responses to specific topics. So whether you consider what you believe about your own worth or your investment in yourself, right? Whether it's a limiting beliefs around time, money, our own unique qualities that we hold, these beliefs deeply influence where we're going. So we can ask ourselves, what can you learn from those who have mastered what you're striving for? And reflect on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And where can you find the resources to bridge that gap, right? And we're going to keep these questions in mind as we explore further. So we've talked about um, core values. We've talked about limiting beliefs. And so now we're going to explore the concept of a belief audit. And a belief audit is a tool that helps us gain clarity about those goals, our core values, strategic directions, and our identities. So by examining these aspects, we can better understand what drives us and where we might need to adjust our beliefs to make progress. So bringing that awareness. So before diving into specifics, consider this. Sometimes the first step in moving forward is identifying which core beliefs may need to change. And this isn't always easy, but things essential for growth are really easy, right? So change starts with awareness. And as we think about where we want to go, let's think about the beliefs that are getting in the way and the beliefs that could help us get to where we want to be. So that's what we're going to dive into now. So there's a lot of words on this slide. The slides are going to be available for preview after, so don't feel like you have to write everything down. But you can use online resources. This is showing you can use online resources to get some ideas for initiating these kinds of conversations around limiting and empowering beliefs. And we can whittle it down into something that would be whittle it down from something overwhelming like this to a handful that gets to like the heart of those limiting beliefs. So if we look at the second question on the slide here, if someone thinks that, do you believe parenting should come naturally, right? So if someone thinks that good parenting should come naturally, and they have it on their mission statement to be the best parent they can possibly be, but they have a limiting belief at the same time that parent education is for bad parents, as a coach, you may want to bring some educational materials around the benefits of parent ed classes. Find someone maybe willing to share their experience with those classes or share like hard facts, statistics about why people take them. And sometimes people have their own stigma operating that all parents who take classes are involved with child protective services because of someone else's experience. And that's also a limiting belief that could dissuade them from ever enrolling in a class that could be really beneficial for them reaching their goals of being the best parent. And it's a belief that they may not necessarily see. So, whatever the limiting belief is, if you have a clue, if you have some sort of awareness, doing an audit may be helpful for the participant in this discovery process. And for us as peer recovery coaches, we treat the participant as the resource and expert of their own life. So asking these questions is a great way to uncover how we can best support them in their goals. This next slide is about mental health services. So we would never, like we talked about, we would never put something this wordy in front of someone, but these types of questions can help prompt ideas for using our motivational interviewing questions that can lead to some insight as to what limiting or empowering beliefs could be addressed in developing a personal mission statement or their goals and strategic direction for when supporting a participant regarding, in this case, mental wellness, right? So we wanted to include these for an example because they are common topics that people often have limiting beliefs operating that they have no awareness of. And these will be available for you to use as a resource when the slides are posted. So we talked about limiting beliefs, right? And now we're going to talk about some empowering beliefs. And empowering beliefs are beliefs that energize us, move us forward, and shape a positive vision of ourselves and our capabilities. So I'd love to hear from all y'all. And what empowering beliefs do you hold? And you can share them in the chat, and Michelle will be checking in on the chat to see all your responses. Um, but yeah, I would love to see some empowering beliefs that you may already be holding. And as they're coming in, I'll just share a few. Um, Anything is possible. I can learn new things. Everything is working out for me, no matter how it looks like right now. I can do this. I think those are any I can statement, right? That positive action forward type of statement. So those are some examples the of what empowering beliefs can look like and sound like. So while we're thinking about all those, right, consider how these beliefs transform our outlook on life. Empowering beliefs are like fuel, keep us motivated, keep us resilient, even when the challenges and distractions arise. So thank you all again for sharing your thoughts. I have resilient and come so far. I believe small, consistent acts of support can create good, big impact. Asking for help is necessary and okay. Those are all so beautiful. Um, so the thing about beliefs, so empowering beliefs, reverting back to limiting just for a second, thinking about beliefs that are limiting is that they can be changed and we can write new narratives and reinforce new beliefs with evidence we create with new actions. And that can be huge for us and for our participants. And I know in our agency, we have peers that never imagined that they could go to college, right? But the evidence that it was possible came after being encouraged to participate in a certificate program with UNH. So some staff broke that limiting belief with that evidence of completing the certificate program and are now pursuing associates and undergraduate degrees. So we build that new evidence to enforce these new empowering beliefs. So common limiting beliefs that we may encounter supporting folks. These are thoughts that hold us back if we let them. The belief, we're going to use the example, I'm not a morning person. It's a super simple statement, but it can shape how we perceive our routines and opportunities that come our way. Another one could be, I don't have time. How often do I tell myself this all the time, I can't lie. But by doing so, we might be closing off possibilities that support our growth or even opportunities for enjoyment. The belief I can't afford to often hides in a deeper thought, I'm not worth investing in. Such beliefs can prevent us from pursuing our passions or investing that time and resources into ourselves. I'm too old to learn. I'm sure we've all heard the saying, we can't teach a old dog new tricks, but is that really true? And lastly, the phrase, I'm an addict, can sometimes be embraced as an identity instead of a diagnosis. And I know that shows up differently for people, but this can shape how individuals see their potential for change, right? So think about these beliefs and how they might be obstacles in our path and our participants' path. And we're going to aim to run these beliefs through a process to clear them out of our way. And the first step to do that is really this process, right? So if we use the example, I'm not a morning person, that was something have held on to for a very long time personally for me. So to change these beliefs, first we have to have awareness. This involves asking ourselves, what do I say to myself? And what actions does this lead to? So I'm not a morning person as a thing I say to myself. This could lead to me snoozing my alarm all the time, running out the door without packing my breakfast and my lunch because I didn't have time to do it, all that stuff. Crazy mornings. That's the awareness. Curiosity. Is this belief true? And is it possible that it's not true? And so this step is really important. It invites us to challenge our assumptions of ourselves. For me, I do walk my dog every morning. I make sure she eats breakfast. I do get myself changed and do my personal hygiene. So I do make time in the morning for some things, right? So is the fact that I'm not a morning person really true? Consequences. What is this belief costing me? And crucially, what will it cost me if I continue to hold on to it and don't try to change it, right? For me, it's costing me it's costing me missing workouts in the morning because I'm not a morning person. I don't work out in the morning, right? Possible consequences. Spending more money because I have to go out to lunch and I'm not packing my dinner leftovers for lunch. Possible consequences. What's the evidence here? Imagine what life could look like without this belief. So, what would the opposite look like? If I was a morning person, it would look like getting my morning movement in, packing my food, and being just less crazy in the morning. And the last part of this is we condition through repetition. So we can reinforce new empowering beliefs with action. So maybe you don't become a morning person. I don't think I will become a morning person, right? But I no longer identify as not being one because this awareness and this curiosity has led me to build this new body of evidence supporting my original limiting belief not being true, which has influenced that positive change. Change begins with awareness and curiosity. So, we're going to take a moment to prepare for a brainstorming session. So, the pen and paper that Brooke mentioned earlier would be a great time to grab that now. And this exercise we're about to dive into is about understanding, going back to what truly matters to us. So, we're going to think about our core values, the principles that guide our life and our decisions. And hopefully, you have your top 5 identified from our last exercises. So consider what are the non-negotiables in your life, the things that you absolutely cannot, will not compromise on. And as reflect on the qualities you admire most in others. And this can often mirror the values that we hold dear too, right? So as you jot down your thoughts, remember this is a personal reflection. Again, no right or wrong answers. What matters in is that these observations are meaningful to you. So take your time, let the ideas flow naturally, no hesitation. Um, and we'll give you a few minutes here. You can create a list, sentences, however your brain works. And when you're done, please look up so I know when we're ready to move on. And we'll probably take about 3 minutes here. I see some people may still be working. That's totally okay. We can always come back to this and make changes later. But we're gonna move forward with this process, right? So next we're gonna dive into strengths and passions. So what truly excites you? Think about those moments when you feel that surge of enthusiasm. What are you doing in that time? And these, when we can pinpoint these, are often our greatest talents and our skills at play. Consider what captures your attention so deeply that time seems to stand still. I've heard this referred to as our flow state too, right? These activities that stir your spirit and make you feel alive, these are not just your hobbies, but these are indicators of your true passions. So we can ask ourselves, what inspires you? And what are the strengths that we already have that we want to nurture and grow? So reflect on those skills you naturally see, what you're engrossed in, what you love doing. And those are the skills that define our unique contributions to our team and to society. So now think about the things you enjoy. Yeah. So embracing what excites and inspires you is a powerful step towards aligning your life again to what truly matters to us as individuals. So again, take a minute, jot some thoughts down as we dive into this next part. So we've explored our values, our strengths, our passions, and you can go to that next slide, Brooke. And so now it's time to define our goals and our impact, right? So by reflecting on three key areas, our personal lives, our work lives, and the world around us. So think about what you truly want to accomplish in each of these areas. Going back to what are your aspirations? What do you want to achieve, both professionally and personally? So consider the problems you'd like to solve and the kind of impact you wish to have, not only on your family and the community, but the world at large. We are global citizens. Impact isn't just about the grand gestures, but it's about the everyday actions that build that bigger picture. So, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? And how do your goals align with the impact you want to create? So, next we're going to talk about visualizing our legacy. And when we think about visualizing our legacy, we're stepping into this really powerful exercise of envisioning our future. So we're asking ourselves, there's a lot of self-reflection here because it's about us as individuals, but how do we want to be remembered? And this is not just about a distant future, but it's about how our daily actions contribute to this vision now. And what does that future look like to you at this very moment? What are you doing with your time? What do you look like in that space? Who are you spending time with? What are those everyday actions that you're making? So, as we consider the impact of the actions that we're talking about, the values that we hold dear, and how we shape this legacy, our legacy, and this is our chance to align our daily life with the legacy we want to leave behind. And this isn't just a dream, right? This is like, again, our guiding light to help us make our decisions today. Um, so we're gonna send you into, can you go back to that last slide, Brooke? Sorry. Um, we're going to send you into smaller groups again to share it out loud with each other. The reflection on the questions on the screen. How do I want to be remembered? What does that future look like to you now? So Brooke's going to send everybody out into their small groups again. We'll come back in a little less than 10 minutes, and then we'll do a share out when y'all come back. Any questions or concerns before?
Everybody. All right,
Awesome. Welcome back to the big group, folks. Um, we have a couple minutes for some volunteers to share out what came up for them during this reflection time, and anyone who wants to share about visualizing their legacy?
I can share, like as a whole for our group, the legacies that we talked about for us individually all aligned with what our core values were. So that was kind of a good connection that we were able to make.
Mm. It sounds like that connection almost happened naturally, like, oh, my core values do align with where I see my future.
I want to be remembered probably, I mean, I wrote down a ton of things, but differently to different people.
Mm.
Like, I don't want my kids to remember me the way my coworkers did or do, or you know what I mean? Like, I
Mm.
think I want to be remembered differently to everybody, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Sarah, because like we talked about, um, our core values, our core beliefs, right? And how they do show up differently for the different roles that we play. So it makes sense that our legacy would also follow like that similar trajectory. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a really good point. Anyone else feel inclined to share about their legacy?
For me, I told, we spoke in our group about how this was kind of a neat exercise because I think for me personally, how I want to be remembered. Of course, I'm in a situation where I tend to pull the bad and the negative from my past, and that's not how I want to be remembered, obviously. So it was just kind of nice to do a little bit of soul searching to pull out the positives and to bring the positive because we always tend to look at, oh, well, somebody's going to remember that I did this or somebody's going to remember that I did that. You know what I mean? So I think it's good so for mine was, I want to be remembered as a loving mother, a resilient woman and compassionate soul who fought for my family, grew through hardship and made the world gentler for the people that I touched.
Mm.
And I just feel like um, that's me through and through. So it
Mm.
was, but to bring that today, if you would have asked me yesterday, I would have been like, oh, well, people are going to remember me for this or for that. And that's not what I want to be remembered for.
Mm.
So it's kind of a neat exercise to do.
That's so beautiful, Tina. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think being grounded in those core values, what's important to us, helps us dig out those positives when it feels like we're surrounded by all that, caught up in all
Yep.
that negativity. Doesn't mean the negativity is not there, right? But we're just
Right.
reframing in our mind what we're choosing to focus on. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
And I
Yeah.
think through pulling out the negativity, we grow,
Mm.
um, and bring the positivity back into our lives. It's hard sometimes
That's
to search for that.
Yeah. That's an empowering belief at its core, right there, baby. That's so
Mhm.
good. Thank you, Tina.
Hey,
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for sharing and participating. Feels really good. So as we move forward, we're going to consider everything that we've talked through so far, right? Our core values, what kind of beliefs we're holding, our strengths, our passions, our vision for our future, right? We're going to consider all that and now use some tools. So we have the RPI framework: results, purpose, impact. And these are the pillars that will guide us as we begin to draft our personal mission statement here in a couple minutes. So, first, the results you want to achieve in your life. What are the changes that you want to see? And this is the opportunity where envisioning your future comes into play. Next, consider your biggest why. And this is deeply personal, and this should align with those core values that we explored earlier today. What drives us to want these changes, or what drives us to develop this sort of strategic direction for our life? And this is about our purpose for it all. And then reflect on the impact this could have on the different areas of life that matter most to us? How will the changes in our direction, our mindset, our actions, our results change and affect our relationships, our careers, our personal growth, all that good stuff in our lives? So as we move forward, we're going to keep these questions in mind as they will ground our thoughts and guide our brainstorming process moving forward. And remember, this is again about what's truly important to us. So, some questions here for you to jot down any quick thoughts. What results do you want to see? What is the purpose for it? And what impact do you hope to have? So, we're going to transition here into making our personal mission statement draft. So now that we've envisioned our legacy, our vision for the future, we're going to again shift gear to that practical side. So step 2 is all about drafting and eventually refining our personal mission statement. And it can be helpful to use a template to kind of guide our thoughts. And we can think of it like a scaffold, and we can build up our ideas around it. And don't be afraid to draft multiple versions. Each draft that we create helps us really narrow in on the essence of what we truly want to express. And it's important to focus on action verbs here, like create, inspire, empower, as these words bring energy to our statement. They bring some sort of action, and they also provide some clarity for what we're trying to get at. So we can imagine saying, to use my skills to inspire others to achieve their dreams of a thriving life without illicit substance use. To be inspired to put my skills to work in improving my health and fitness in the physical domain of wellness. It feels powerful. So we can experiment with different types of phrases until we find one that really resonates with us as individuals. And then eventually, as we refine and peel away anything that doesn't add to our core message, each word should serve its own purpose. And this is your chance to express that passion and purpose clearly. So, some tips in crafting a personal mission statement that's both concise and authentic. So we want to make sure our statement is brief and that it incorporates just 1 or 2 sentences that sum it up. And the brevity makes it more memorable and easy to reflect on daily, so we're not reading a 3-page essay every day to bring us back to grounding. And focus on authenticity. So your statement should reflect your true values, not what others are expecting of you. And this is another reason why it can be beneficial to take someone else through the test, because they may have only thought about what they have been told to believe by their parents or their friends or their culture. And be affirmative in your language and frame your mission in terms of what you will actively do and not what you'll avoid, right? So this positive framing again reinforces that commitment to growth and action. And by keeping it concise and positive, our mission statement will serve, again, as a powerful guiding force in our personal and professional life, those different environments that we're showing up in. So before we dive into writing our own, we're going to share a couple examples. So here we have an example of a mission statement from Michelle Lennon, and she gave her permission for us to read her example. So first, we're going to read the whole example, right? I'm Michelle Lennon. I am a fit to lead president and CEO of the most incredible team of people at the best RCO and FRC in New Hampshire, New England, and possibly the country. A great mom of 2 amazing kids who are being trained up in the way they should go. A good partner in an active, passionate, and satisfying marriage. An advocate, trainer, and pastor. I choose to value my health and relationships as well as my calling. I do this by committing to keep the responsibilities of my vocation, prioritizing my date time with my hubby, and visioning the next steps for a business plan for my family business goals. I'm a highly capable person in all of these areas. So that's the whole statement, right? And then we get even more concise with like this daily reminder. My name is Michelle Lennon, and I'm working to be a fit and healthy leader in my work, my family, and my relationships. So, notice how Michelle's daily reminder statement is clear and personal, and it captures both her current focus and her aspirations for the future. The intention to be a leader in various aspects of her life, and this highlights the holistic approach to personal development. This statement serves as a guiding light, providing clarity and direction to influence her daily decisions, Michelle's daily decisions. It's concise, but yet it encompasses all the different important aspects of Michelle's life, emphasizing her two values, health and leadership. And I know Michelle personally, and happen to know that she rewrote this January of last year, and her two areas of focus were her physical health and her marriage, pulled from the SAMHSA's 8 Domains of Wellness. I also work with her in the office and see how it influences her decisions. So an example of this is when vendors and outreach workers come to the center, they would bring cookies and donuts, and now she's trained them to bring in fruit and vegetable trays instead, right? To help help achieve those goals of focusing on her physical health. So having this mission statement will influence those daily actions if we're aware enough to pay attention to it. So take a moment to think about how you might craft your statement and what are the key areas of your life where you want to grow and lead. And this is a powerful tool for self-guidance and evolution. So keep it authentic to who you are and who you strive to become. We have one more example here to share. And so in this example, we can see the tips engaged, right? So I won't read the whole thing, but John's daily reminder statement, my name is John, and I am working on my own recovery, leading myself first in faith, family, and community, living in gratitude and spreading hope, right? So again, start with who you are and who you serve, the impact you want to make, short, clear, and hopeful, and then those active present tense words. And make it real, like draw from our lived human experience. It's really important. It's why we are who we are. So, um, and now we're going to dive into writing our own statement. So we will leave this slide up as the prompts may be helpful, as we talked about having like a template for sentences, a scaffold. That's the examples on the slide here that could serve as some prompts. And we will take most of the rest of our time together on this. So look up when you're done, and if we'll have time to share out, we will do some share outs. So we'll leave these templates up on the screen for you to kickstart your mission statement. And these are designed to help you articulate your intent with the clarity that's needed to be concise. And these are just starting points, so adapt them to reflect your own journey and aspirations. And the goal is to create a statement that resonates with you deeply. And so we'll give you a bit of time here to get your statements started, not in small groups, just the big group all together. And I think we'll take about 10 minutes here for that first draft. Okay, everybody. It looks like most folks are done writing. If you're still writing, please do your thing. But we have a couple minutes, so I was wondering if anyone wanted to share what felt good about this process for you. You know, you don't need to necessarily share your draft of your statement, but what 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 felt good about putting pen to paper and exploring about our individual selves?
Do we just unmute? I don't know. We're supposed to raise our
Sure.
hand or
Perfect. You're good.
I think just that focus of taking values and then because it's beyond we do a lot of goal setting, right? And vision boards and that kind of thing, but this was almost like a healing process, like looking at, okay, these are the things I don't want. Now what do I want? What does that look like? What does that feel like? So it's more future focused of who do we want to be and being more intentional, I guess, about it.
Mhm. I love that mention of intentionality. I think, honestly, I think that is like one of the most important parts of this process. And um, you know, the goal setting, the vision boards, that's all really, you know, really important tools, but it almost sounds like this is kind of adding like some backstory to that, you know. Yeah, some roots in it. Thank you so much, Danielle. Another prompt we could throw out there for folks to share out is how do you see yourself working this into your practice with your participants if you're in direct support?
Hillary has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I would say for me, so many times like we work with youth who like don't have role models or have never even been like instilled values or the ones that they have, they're just so they don't agree with them. And a lot of like what we do, right, and like speaking like from my own personal experience is kind of explain, right, is that I didn't grow up with role models, right? Like I grew up with people like that I knew that I never wanted to be like. And like, and that's okay, right? So we can make our own and take what we value and like turn it into something. So using something like this and then to kind of like show them like it's okay to take a different path.
No, Hillary, that's beautiful. I love that so much. And I think that's a really interesting perspective too, because we've been talking about, you know, how our experiences shape our values and stuff, but we didn't really touch on the fact that we may be absorbing values from other people and that we can challenge them and we can have our own. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love that application.
In the
Mhm.
chat, we have someone said that they don't work in direct support, but could see personal mission statements being effective in giving participants autonomy, owning their plan of their recovery.
Mm,
I think that's important because a lot of times our values are not the same as our participants. And if we can connect their core values to their consequence-based goals, you know, the ones that are about getting the license, or you have to do this homework, or you have to meet this requirement for this program. And if you know, those consequences that are external go away. You know, so often we see participants kind of their plans fall apart, but if it's intrinsically motivated and connected to things that are important to them, you know, well, it could create that motivation to keep going when the outside circumstances aren't motivating you anymore.
mm. Thank you for adding that, Michelle. And Emma, thank you for your share in the chat. Allison, what you got?
So it's funny that this is so timely. Chad and I are teaching a families in recovery class together. And recently we've talked a lot about establishing what are your values because we had one participant let us know that they are increasingly growing in frustration because they have these goals, but they're not necessarily sure what their values are. So I was like, well, let's see if let's put down what are your values, what's important, and let your goals stem from that instead of doing it the other way around. And she's like, oh my gosh, I never, and Chad and I were like, she just didn't know that there's kind of a system to that so that you don't grow in frustration. And it feels a lot more tangible because it's stemming from a root that you truly believe in, that you really are going to stand firm on and unwavering, So this is very timely. Thank you for this.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Allison. Thank you for sharing that like super timely example. Yeah, I think from a distance it seems like intuitive and that we should just know this stuff. But as we talked about, like it takes intentional time and practice to make it mean something really important to us. Yeah. Thank you all for sharing. Um, that was beautiful. So as we move on, now that we've created our mission statements, now it's time to integrate them into our lives and let them evolve with us. So use your mission statement as a tool for decision making. And when you face a tough choice, refer back to this statement. Does this decision align with my values? And this ensures our actions are consistent with who we aspire to be. Next, we can evaluate new opportunities by considering if they contribute to who we are becoming. And this helps us stay true to that mission while encouraging our personal growth. And this mission statement is not static, it's not set in stone. This is a living document, and it should guide our decisions as well as evolving alongside us in our journey. And so by continuously revisiting and adapting this mission statement, we're ensuring that it remains a true reflection of our values and goals. And how often you revise it's totally up to you. Once a year, every quarter, when the wind blows the right way, right? But it's important that this is a continuous process. So now that we've created the mission statement, share it out and get some feedback, right? And this is also where truth can really happen. So by sharing your draft with trusted mentors, friends, family, again, you're opening the door to valuable insights and new perspectives on your strength, tying into that improving communication that we talked about in the beginning. And remembering the feedback should align with your values. And it's not just about changing our statement based on other people's opinion. It's about refining it to better reflect who we are and who we're becoming. So as you learn and grow, your mission will naturally learn and grow as well. Revisit and update this regularly. If it ever feels uninspiring or loses its motivational power, take that as a cue to refine it. Um, yeah, keep your mission statement alive and aligned with your journey. So, as we wrap up, let's reflect on what truly sets successful individuals apart. So, successful people engage in the tasks that drive success, the very tasks that those less successful people shy away from. And it's about making those important choices that propel you forward. This work isn't about the tasks, it's about finding the intrinsic motivation and what fuels our journey. Leadership begins with self-leadership, and we cannot guide others if we're not willing to tread the path ourselves. So we can ask ourselves, can you do this? Can you be the role model you aspire to follow? And the answer is a resounding yes. You have the capability, lead yourself first, and be that role model for your participants. So that concludes our time together today. My email and contact information is on the last slide that will be put up. And feel free to reach out if you think of anything later or have any questions, comments, concerns, or would like to say hi. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much, Kara,
Thank
for your
you.
that was a beautiful presentation and so much great interaction from everyone. Thank you all. Just to close our session today, we have a few final announcements. Please be sure to visit nhtac.org to view past COP recordings and resources. You'll find lots of goodies there. And also, I'm dropping in the chat the link to get your certificate today. So please be sure to complete this brief evaluation. You can scan the QR or click that link. Be sure to include your name in order to receive the certificate. Thank you all again and have a fantastic day. You can all open your mics if you like and say bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.